More details on program cattle. We've got lots to cover. Crew, let's ranch it up. Good day, everyone, and thanks for riding with us on this all-new episode of the Ranch It Up Radio Show. I'm Jeff Tigger Earhart.
And I'm Rebecca Warner, a.k.a. Beck.
A big thank you goes out to our partners, RanchChannel.com, Transova Genetics, Axiota, Multimin, and Lactapro, Stockman's Livestock Exchange, the American Gelbvieh Association, Imogene Ingredients, and Pharmatan, Westway Feed Products, Medora Boot and Western Wear, Allied Genetic Resources, and Allied Feeding Partners, Livestock Market, Equine Market, and AuctionTime.com, RFD TV, Wrangler, and this fine radio station. Cow Country News, you know, the cow stuff.
Our top news story, an update on avian influenza. State animal health officials confirmed new cases of highly pathogenic avian influenza, or HPAI, in dairy cows in Michigan. That announcement comes as North Dakota announced no cases so far, and U.S. senators called for better communication among regulators to help stop the tide of new outbreaks. The Michigan Department of Agriculture and Rural Development announced positive tests for HPAI in dairy cows in 3 counties, with additional testing expected soon. Officials stated that the best tool available to combat the spread of HPAI, regardless of species, is using enhanced biosecurity efforts that include isolating new or returning animals on farms, monitoring the health of animals daily, and cleaning and disinfecting trailers used to haul animals. Meanwhile, officials in North Dakota reported there have been no cases of HPAI in cattle as of May 10th, although the infections of dairy cows in 9 other states this spring continue to be monitored. That according to North Dakota State veterinarian Dr. Ethan Andrus. USDA recently announced plans to provide a total of $98 million to help states and ranchers stop the spread of HPAI beyond birds as state and federal officials continue to monitor cases in 42 herds so far, including South Dakota. Enhanced biosecurity efforts are expected to remain in place as new information about HPAI in cows is gathered. With the continued spread of H5N1, some have questioned the proper way to prepare beef to ensure its safety. USDA's Animal and Plant Health Inspection Service reported that no virus remained in burgers cooked from 145 to 160 degrees Fahrenheit, and these results validate that standard recommended cooking temperatures and procedures are sufficient to kill H5N1 in meat. That's all I have for the news. Coming up next, more on program cattle and how large retailers are asking for them. The Ranch It Up Radio Show will be back right after this.
Want to add just a little bit of spice to your event, your customer appreciation supper, your banquet, your meeting?
Oh, yeah.
Well, bring in us. Beck and I as your keynote speakers, hosts, MCs, a host couple. We'll make them laugh, even cry tears of joy. Call us today. Why not give Gelbvieh and Balancer bulls a try this year? Raise replacement females with added fertility, increased longevity, and greater productivity. Get increased performance, improve feed efficiency, and increase the carcass merit. Maximize crossbreeding with Gelbvieh and Balancer. The quick, fast, easy, all-in-one location to look at bull sales. Head to ranchchannel.com. Check it out on your phone. ranchchannel.com. All the information on one page at your fingertips. Videos, catalogs, everything. ranchchannel.com. The Tri-State Livestock News, what ranchers read. Stop by your local sale barn or livestock center and grab the latest issue of the Tri-State Livestock News.
From the latest cattle market reports to various news stories within the ag industry, the Tri-State Livestock News covers it all. You can also check us out at tsln.com. And for those of you that might be interested in subscriptions or advertising, please give me a call, Tracy Hawk, at 406-951-3211. The Tri-State Livestock News, what ranchers read.
Cryptosporidium, coccidiosis, scours. Do I have your attention now? Don't let scours affect you this calving season by feeding Pharmatan from Imogene Ingredients. But you gotta get it into your cows now. I've been saying it a lot. Head to PharmatanUSA.com.
Cattle Battle.
Welcome back to the Ranch It Up Radio Show, the most information packed into a 30-minute program that you can find at your All Things Ranching newscast, and so glad to be hanging out with y'all. Questions, comments, concerns, criticisms, rants, it doesn't matter. Give us a call or fire us a text at 707-RANCH20. That's 707-726-2420. Our email, ranchitupshow@gmail.com. Prowling around social media at Ranch It Up Show. Now, last week we started talking about program cattle that are third-party verified to fit a certain criteria, such as age and source verified, breed verified, NHTC, non-hormone treated cattle, verified natural beef, care certified, just to name a few. And we fielded a number of emails requesting lots more information and, at the same time, wondering how these programs create a direct correlation between the producer and the consumer and how these programs can put dollars back into our pockets. A premium. We're talking more money. This one gets right to the point. Doug Stanton, the Vice President of Sales and Development for IMI Global, returns again this week. Doug, these are very valid questions that producers are asking, and I know you field them a lot. How is this program going to help me on the ranch? Get me more money. Let's talk about the CARE program, which stands for Community of Agriculturalists That Respect the Earth. Now, I know that sounds all head in the clouds, right? But let's break down this program of verification and how this directly relates to product demand and dollars back in our pockets. I know the CARE program consists of three main pillars. Let's talk about them, and then we'll get into how this is so important for the large retailers that are selling our beef. Those three pillars of the CARE program.
They are animal care, environmental stewardship, and people and community.
So let's talk animal care.
Okay, animal care. In that one, our big focus is BQA certification at the ranch. We would like to see mostly the management for sure and the ownership. They're doing day to day. We want all of them certified. We'd prefer to have everybody on the operation BQA certified. It's so easy to do anymore. There's, like tonight, there's, they're doing it right here on site. There's places like that. You can go online to do it. It doesn't cost anything anymore. And then you're certified for 3 years. And
I encourage people to do it a few times. It's really, really interesting.
Yeah. And then you're, that's our core part of that pillar. And then we also look at, transportation on the off their operation, on the operation. Are those people, TQA certified, and they should be. And a lot of these trucking companies are anymore. Then we look at antibiotic stewardship, and it's not a natural program. We have a natural program. It's another offering that we have within our verification programs, but CARE is not. And we want it to be able to stand alone, because if you really think about sustainability, a lot of people would, and it's a good argument that you need to utilize the technology that's out there. You need to use implants. You need to use ionophores, because that increases more pounds off the same acres and those type of things. And so it needs to be something. And so in our program, we allow that. Then another part of that is looking at antibiotic stewardship. In other words, we're just looking at what you're doing in your operation. And what we like people to avoid is constant feeding of low-level antibiotics. We don't feel like that's important. If an animal's need to treat an animal, you treat an animal. But low-level antibiotic use, I think, needs to go away. And they're going to take it away anyway. In a lot of cases, we're already seeing that in the feedlot industry.
It's going to go by the wayside.
It's going to go by the wayside. The feedlot industry is already losing some of their products in the near future, or if they haven't already. And so that encompasses really our animal care for the most part. Then our next pillar is environmental stewardship, and we got into that a little bit. It talks about grazing management program and stuff and things on the operation, practices that you're doing today, and then that enhance that. Are you cell grazing? I mean, we talked to a guy tonight. that had, he's already taken some pastures and broke it up into 8 sections, and he's rotationally grazing. He can get more pounds off the same acres and actually run more cattle if he cell grazes it. Or are they doing cover crops? If they have some kind of farm ground, are they doing cover crops and grazing cattle on there and utilizing that versus just being fallow? Those are all things that we're trying to capture. Because our care program is very unique for us in the verification world in that it is a scored program. So it being scored is you are scored if you're doing the practice, you get the points. If you're not, you don't, but you're not penalized. And so it allows us operation to come in the first year. Maybe he's not documenting everything, but he's at least he can verbally tell us about it, and then we give him templates and ways for them to be able to document that in the future moving forward. So continuous improvement is really what we want people to do. And so I think that's the way the program was set up from that standpoint. Under environmental stewardship, outside the grazing management, cover crops, and those type of things, we're also looking at, are they doing any efficiency? Are you using old tires, turned inside out for hay feeders or grain feeders or whatever you're doing? Are you using recycling things, or what are you doing on the operation from that side of it, from a resource renewable standpoint? And then the people and community is a pillar that, and once again, I didn't mention this, all 3 of these are following the framework of the U.S. Roundtable for Sustainable Beef. Because before we even launched the program, we took it to them, they reviewed it, and they recognized that it met their framework. And that's then we took it from there and launched the program. So people and community is also part of their deal. And when we look at people and community, we look at worker safety. And, every time I give presentations, I know that when I say worker safety, a lot of the family-run operations, kind of joking about that, and it's like, he's my son. Yeah, of course, I am, but I don't have safety meetings. But maybe we should in some cases. But we're talking about looking around the operation and making sure, have you taken the shields off the PTO, and why did you? Maybe you don't have outside help, but you have family. That's still your family, and things like that. That's just an example. But we look at worker safety, and then we look at, we don't go over it with a fine-tooth comb. We don't have to even see it, but we just ask them, and they're talking about, have you even had the discussions in your family about succession? Have you even had the discussions? And sometimes it's funny, we'll ask the father, and he says, yeah, we have a succession plan. And the son goes, really, what is it? So it hasn't, it's in his mind and probably isn't written down. But he knows what.
Maybe the other family members don't know about it. The other brother is mad because he thought he was going to get it.
Yeah, it's not written down. So, we just bring it up because it is part of sustainability, is succession, and who's going to keep this operation running for the next generation and the generation after that. That's sustainability. And so that's part of it in our discussion. And a big part of that pillar too, that we really like, and producers will really open up and kind of beam when we ask them that, what are you doing in your community? They do so many things. Donations, their time and donations of beef and things like that in their community. And so we document what they're doing. And because we want to make that all part of our story to the consumer. And we want to tell them the good things that they're doing on their operation in their community, which is also sustainable for their community in a lot of cases of what they're doing. So that all becomes part of it. And then we go on site. We first of all, we'll go through that discussion. Either they can do it online and go through the questions, or they can do it over the phone. We establish a quality manual that first year to get them started off on the right foot. And then from that point on, we just update it each year and make sure, any practices changed, anything different, and we just update it. So there's more work that first year to get it going. But then after that, it's just updating it to make sure we're staying current.
The CARE program is fascinating to me. You say 3 pillars. I'm going to say 3 legs of a stool. You know what happens if you pull one of those away? The stool falls, right? And did you notice that, Doug, when you're talking about these, a big chunk of these are not directly related to animal production. They're not. They're not. We're talking about in the community, in the development. And that's what I think is so fascinating, because that's what consumers, sustainability is really this big blanket word. It can be, oh my gosh, we can apply it in many situations to each one of those 3 pillars that you talked about. So how do we get this understanding of this is what the CARE program is all the way down on the farm and ranch level? How do we have a consumer who really doesn't understand what we're going through? And I get it. This is why we're doing it, because we're trying to create that connection. But yet that's a long ways to try to bridge that gap. How do we do that?
Well, I think sustainability probably gives us the best chance of us. I think consumer, and if you can try to educate the consumer a little bit, I think they understand sustainability a little bit, probably a lot more than they would understand what a VAC 45 or a VAC program is. At least on that stand, we think about, if we're going to tell the consumer what's going on, we're going to tell them, well, I give these shots and I do this and I do that. Like you said, all tied directly to the animal. That's only part of what they want to know. And I did a slide tonight that it talks about, the consumer, they still do care about animal care and animal welfare, but they care about sustainability just as much. And they're doing that in their buying. They're looking for it already, and they want to see in some way, and if you really want to complicate it, let's take regenerative. Let's throw regenerative in with sustainability, and then we really get to have.
We're really diving down the rabbit hole, but it applies.
It applies, and there's ties to it. People think regenerative is almost different, but it's really under sustainability. It just means we're trying to leave the land better than when we found it. I think that's the bottom line, and that's where sustainability. I think to the consumer, we can talk about that more than just focusing on animal production.
And when we say consumers, it also, it represents each of the moms and dads and single moms and single college age kids are all in there. But it also represents, you gave the example of Walmart and how Walmart is representing the consumer and saying, this is what the beef business can supply us. Our consumers are saying this. We've done our research and we've got our data over here. And when you compile all this, Walmart is saying, hey, if you want to play over here and we're going to put your product on our shelf, this is what you got to do.
Yeah. And a lot of these companies, and Walmart being one of them, and I talked about, is, they've all got a sustainability pledge out there that they've done over the last couple of years, whether it's a Walmart, a Costco, or United Airlines saying they're going to be carbon neutral by 2050. They've all made these pledges about sustainability or something in those regards, and they're making those pledges to their stockholders and to their customers, and they've got to come through with it, and they've got to do it, and so that's why we can't just ignore it, and they're going to continue to push as we get closer to those time commitments that they've made. That they're going to have to get involved, and their supply chain is going to have to reflect that.
Doug Stanton with IMI Global. Again, thank you for the time. We have direct links to all of these programs in the show notes at ranchitupshow.com. And as always, Beck and I are here to help answer questions and get you in contact with who you need to visit with about any topic. 707-RANCH-20. That's 707-726-2420 is our hotline to leave a message and drop us a text, and our email, ranchitupshow@gmail.com. We're all over social media at Ranch It Up Show. Look forward to hearing from you. Now, up next, we talk markets, hay for sale, hay auctions, and a lot more right here on the Ranch It Up Radio Show. Keep it locked. Don't let nutrition be the missing piece. Nutrition is a key piece to the puzzle of cattle production. As forage quality diminishes, your cow herd's nutritional needs do not decrease. Westway's liquid feed provides protein, energy, vitamins, and minerals, and helps to increase digestibility of forages. This supports fetal programming for the calf in utero and cow body condition scores. Both directly contribute to your herd's performance and profitability. So don't let nutrition be the missing piece. Head to westwayfeed.com.
Hey, it's Mark Van Zee with LivestockMarket.com.
Every week we hear from one of our great partners with updates, info, schedules, reports, and everything in between when it comes to buying and selling livestock and hay online and private treaty.
LivestockMarket.com is a centralized online platform of all types of livestock, as well as hay and straw.
They brought you Tractor House and Auction Time, LivestockMarket.com, on Facebook too.
Thanks, guys. Have a great week.
The quick, fast, easy, all-in-one location to look at bull sales. Head to ranchchannel.com. Check it out on your phone. ranchchannel.com. All the information on one page at your fingertips. Videos, catalogs, everything. ranchchannel.com. Why not give Gelbvieh and Balancer bulls a try this year? Raise replacement females with added fertility, increased longevity, and greater productivity. Get increased performance, improve feed efficiency, and increase the carcass merit. Maximize crossbreeding with Gelbvieh and Balancer. Welcome back, everyone, to the Ranch It Up Radio Show. It is that time in the program. We check in with Kirk Donsbach, StoneX Financial Incorporated, checking out the markets. Kirk, what's going on, buddy?
Good morning, Tigger, and all your listeners out there. As of Friday, May 17th, August feeders closed the week at $259.52.5. That's up $9.02.5 on the week. The CME feeder index closed up $2.43 at $243.04. That left our basis versus May futures at a negative $3.68.5. June live cattle closed the week at $180.90. That's up $4.90 on the week, with cash trading $186 in the south and $190 in the north. That left the 5-area weighted average up $1.78 at $187.03, and the basis versus June futures a positive $5.98. So a little bit of work to do on the basis. They're still, but definitely narrower than the $9 it was last week. Weekly slaughter came in at 598,000. That's 24,000 less than last week and 42,000 less than the same week the prior year. Choice boxes, the best news of the week, came in at $313.45. That's up $18.88 on the week. To wrap this up, December corn closed the week at $4.8425. That's down 6 1/4. To wrap this up, December corn closed the week at $4.84 1/4. That's down 6 1/4 on the week. Corn faded the bullish WASDE report to close the week out lower, and now awaits planting progress reports coming out later.
Hey all, Mark Van Zee with LivestockMarket.com. Coming up this Wednesday, May 29th, we have a huge online hay auction. Over 2,200 bales of large round and large square. Bidding opens at just $10 a bale, no reserves, all lots will sell. Featured lots include 204 large round crabgrass bales, selling on 6 separate 34-bale semi-truckload lots. It's 5x6, it's net wrapped, you can buy just one lot or take them all. Bales are $14.50, 11 to 14% protein, good clean horse hay, no weeds. Loading and trucking is available from Hoover Equipment and Cattle Sales in Freeport, Kansas. They've also got 1,020 large round crabgrass wheat mix bales. Also selling on 30 semi-truckload lots. You can take one or all of them, 5x6. It's 6 to 9% protein, net wrapped, from Hoover Trucking and Cattle Sales in Freeport, Kansas. And 1,000 large round BMR sedan hay bales. 34 bale semi-truckload lots, that's 30 separate lots. It's 5x6, net wrapped. This is 10 to 12% protein from Hoover Equipment and Cattle Sales in Freeport, Kansas. And lastly, I've got 46 large square wheat straw bales, 3x3x8. It'd make great bedding or mulching straw from J-Pop Farms in Union Grove, Wyoming. Bidding is currently live, but all lots will sell the morning of Wednesday, May 29th at 10 a.m. Central Time. You got hay to sell? Online hay auctions every Wednesday on LivestockMarket.com and AuctionTime.com.
Mindset. It's the true key to success when you make any change. Hey, I'm Shay, and in this podcast episode with Joe Poquet, he shares how mindset, mentors, and patience are critical when it comes to making any change on your operation. Here's a small portion of the wisdom shared by Joe.
So more than just changing the way you graze or changing the way you plant crops or whatever the practice is that you're focused on, that has to be fueled by a mindset change. You know, the way that we have ran cattle businesses for the last 50, 100 years aren't as profitable as they are today. Just, you know, the way the economy's changed and input prices have changed, and cattle prices really haven't changed in comparison to those things, right? So our old production model, it's really hard to continue to be profitable in this new era of higher inputs in the way we are now.
Listen to the full story by searching for Casual Cattle Conversations on your favorite podcast player. Happy ranching, folks.
I tip my hat to you, from one legend to another.
Before we say fare thee well, we want to give a big old tip of the hat to all of you that participate in high school rodeo, junior high rodeo. We know that your season is well underway. Some of you are getting ready for finals. Regardless, way to ride. Enjoy the ride.
Oh, the memories of high school rodeo. Now I'm just grinning. Loved high school rodeo. And that's going to wrap it up for today. A big thanks from our crew to yours, starting off with Doug Stanton again with IMI Global, Shay Keister-Warner with Casual Cattle Conversations, Kirk Donsbach, StoneX Financial Incorporated, Mark Vanzie with LivestockMarket.com, and the boss lady Rebecca Warner, a.k.a. Beck.
A big thank you to our partners, RanchChannel.com, Transova Genetics, Axiota, Multimin and Lactopro, Stockman's Livestock Exchange, the American Galvy Association, Imogene Ingredients, Pharmatan, Westway Feed Products, Medora Boot and Western Wear, Allied Genetic Resources, Allied Feeding Partners, LivestockMarket.com, EquineMarket.com, AuctionTime.com, RFD TV, Wrangler, and this fine radio station.
And crew, so glad y'all came with us one more time as we ranch it up. Be sure to like and follow us on Facebook at Ranch It Up Show. We have updates there throughout the week. Our email, ranchitupshow@gmail.com. That's ranchitupshow@gmail.com. You can call and you can text us 24/7 at 707-RANCH-20. That's 707-726-2420. Spread the good word and join us again next week where it's always Tigger and Beck approved.
Stay ranchy and ranch it up.